Hi, one of the most important cloud platforms that we support on the jSonar platform is the Snowflake data warehouse. We see it um, uh, coming on board in almost all of our customers, and so we've built end-to-end support for Snowflake. So that includes everything. If I go into the cloud sources dashboard, in addition to um, every other platform like RDS and Google BigQuery, I'll see the Snowflake data coming in over here. If I want to see the actual events, I can go in here and look at any one of these data sets and see exactly the activity that has been coming in through Snowflake. So, for example, if I want to see um, all of the queries that are being done, you can always go back and look at the data from 15 weeks ago, um, and then I can filter on a specific server type. So I can open server type, look at the top 20 cloud sources that I am monitoring, see my Snowflake, add that as a filter. So now I'm going to look only at the activity that is being done on the Snowflake database. I can then zero in on a certain time frame. And each one of those records is a record that we're pulling about an event that is happening within Snowflake. I can look at all the database users. I can zero in on only C Brown and see what C Brown has done over this period of time. I can also apply, right, so each one of these records will show me exactly what is going on. So in this case, somebody did, or C Brown did a job database. And I can apply any analytic engine. So for example, you can see here there's 28,000 um, activities that C Brown has done, but I can reduce the noise and see really the forest through the trees, and then I'll see, I can say, show me for example, per database name, what types of things C Brown has done. You can see it's aggregating together that on the database at this time frame, there were drop tables, drop databases, create tables. So it's a very easy thing to see. We also pull out not just the events and what is being done, but also everything that has to do with privileges on Snowflake. So, for example, I can go in here and I can look at Snowflake privileges. Uh, and what that does is it gives me the ability to know who has the ability to do something, plus all kinds of analyses on the lineage of users, roles, and privileges. So, for example, here I have a searchable widget. I can say, okay, let me look at any table that has customer in it. So you can see it filtered and only showed me the objects that have to do with customer, and so now I know that the only three users that have access to the customer database is C Brown, Ori, and Yale Test User. You can see here all the roles and how the lineage works. So, for example, C Brown has access to test role 5, but it doesn't actually have this directly. What happens is C Brown has the access account usage role, which has the test role 1, which has test role 3, which has test role, et cetera, until they actually have that. And I can see this also in this pivot table. So, for example, by asset and by object type, I have a breakdown of all the permissions and all the roles that each one of these users has. But I can play with this. I can say, well, I don't actually care about the object type, so I'll move this over. What I really want to know is just per asset what privileges C Brown has. Or, the other way around. I may want to say something like, um, I want to know not specifically which objects this user has on this asset. I just want to know which types of what are the types that this user has been granted to. So it's a very um, flexible. I can move this around and create whatever pivot tables I want. Very dynamically, because all the data is analyzed to a normalized form. I can also look at I can use the engines that do analysis on these things, on the privileges, and kind of mark what the engine is thinking is more risky, in the sense, for example, that the lineage is too complicated or the lineage is too elaborate, and maybe there's lack of understanding of this. And you can see up here that there's two things that are being flagged as an issue, and maybe two more that are semi-flagged. At which point I can either run a playbook to revoke things, or I can kick off a workflow ticket that will force a review of this entitlement, which is then handled within the workflow engine. And then I can also see the actual connection matrix or network of the assignments and the privileges on how exactly a certain user has received a certain privilege through a network of things. And of course, this network is quite messy, meaning there's a lot to improve. And then finally, there are a set of Yuba engines that go and analyze all this information that's coming from Snowflake, whether it's for identifying threats or even for security hygiene. So, for example, there's a Yuba engine that looks for dormant users. So what this is going to do is it's going to pull out the privilege information and therefore know which users are defined and what privileges they are, but also looks at the activity information that comes out of Snowflake, and tell you when a certain user has not used or is not even connected to the database, and therefore you can reduce the surface area, and you can even attach a playbook directly to this. So whenever you have one of these Yubas, down here you can attach a playbook to automatically run something. And playbooks, on the other hand, are these orchestrations that really call a set of APIs. And the APIs that you can call are anything from Snowflake through the different cloud services, through other security tooling. So it's a very very comprehensive set of playbooks that you can do in order to provide better security. Thank you for watching. If you want to see other demos and about other cloud sources and cloud databases, we currently support over 40 of them. Please visit jsonar.com or dbsec2.com. Thank you.